In 2020, a League of Legends player discovered that if you picked the champion Ornn, stand at a specific spot, and then pressed a W on your keyboard, you will damage every enemy in the game. Keep using your W, and before you know it,
Pentakill.
this resulted in 3,000 players being banned. However, despite happening over 4 years ago, that would not be the first nor the last time that players take advantage of a bug in order to get some free wins.
It's into one shot. Wait, my game crashed. Hello?
But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by tapin.gg. Tapin.gg is a platform that allows you to find your ideal duo partner within minutes. Specifically, verified teammates only, who won't run it down in your important games. On Tapin, you can find the exact type of teammate you're looking for, whether that be someone to coach you, a regular duo partner, or additional players for your flex queue. In general, a good platform to find friends or reliable teammates that I can recommend. So if you're ready to find a good duo partner, use my link in the description to get 20% off your first 3 games. Just recently, you probably heard about this, a little emoticon meant to represent a dog. However, somehow, someone found out that if you type a variation of these characters into the chat in League of Legends, the game will simply stop working.
3, 2,
He's legitimate.
1.
He's legitimate. It's into one shot. Wait, my game crashed. Hello? My game crashed.
I'm back.
Hello?
After discovering this bug, some people used it to troll their friends.
What? You can do this? That is unreal.
And then on the other side, some players quickly thought about how they could use this to their advantage. Receiving this message does not crash the game for all players involved. It only crashes the game for those who can see the message. So hypothetically, if you disable your chat and duo with someone who sends the message to everyone in all chat, you will have the game all to yourself. And that's exactly what some players did. The timeline for this bug was thankfully not that long. It would seem that the exploit started getting used on July 1st, 2024, but was fixed by the very next day. But like every great bug in this game, they always return.
Why isn't that fixed? I'll go fix it myself on Monday.
On August 20th, almost 2 months after the curse of the dog, a new version of this exploit was discovered. This time it looks like this. A bunch of nonsense characters. But it makes the League client freak out and crash the game for anyone who sees the message. The only difference between this one and the previous issue is that this exploit has lasted longer. The original exploit was resolved in less than 2 days. However, as of making this video, this exploit is still causing problems. It might have something to do with it not being as viral as the dog exploit, but surely it will be resolved soon. However, just like before, there are multiple accounts winning a ton of games using this exploit. This player went on to win about 20 games all within 1 day using this method, and very likely will be permanently banned. The worst part is that when Riot comes around to fixing this, the players who lost their LP due to this issue will not get their LP back. Interestingly enough, sometimes even pro players take advantage of exploits. In the past, we've talked about pro players getting in trouble for using these exploits in solo queue. But just a couple months ago, we got a good example of what happens if a pro player uses one of these bugs on stage during a tournament.
2.3k individual goal deficit. This is a tricky problem. Niski turns into a honeypot, and then a helicopter, and then a helicopter, and then pauses, and pauses. Don't know what's going on, I'll keep you informed.
Just a quick explanation on what the bug is. Nico clone usually lasts for about 3 seconds. However, if you make the clone recall, the duration will be overridden with the recall animation, which lasts 8 seconds. Niski does exactly that and moves the clone around while it's doing the recall helicopter animation. In this case, it served no advantage, but it could technically be used to get vision or block an attack when the clone should otherwise have already despawned. Interesting note here is that the pause function is usually activated by one of the 10 players. However, the pause here was initiated by the referee, who immediately caught the fact that Nico shouldn't be flying around like a helicopter, but eventually, the game was resumed.
League officials paused the game after confirming that SK Nisty had incidentally utilized a bug that was previously informed to teams to be aware of and not utilize. During the pause, the teams and players were reminded of the bug, and because no significant advantage was gained, we will be playing on.
However, although it was described as an unintentional bug, the player was fined $2,000 for using a bug exploit, as apparently players were told at some point that this interaction is a bug and they weren't allowed to perform it.
Obviously, there's a list of bugs, and some of them are, you know, hey, you should be aware this is a bug, and there are some that are, hey, you could replicate this for competitive advantage, don't do this. And so I don't think anyone would do that intentionally, but it is possible that someone accidentally did something that they weren't supposed to do.
At one point, you can see Niski clearly arguing with someone, likely saying that they weren't intentionally trying to abuse any bug. Regardless, despite not being intentional and not giving any competitive advantage, he still went home with that $2,000 fine. The funny part is that if you discovered this kind of bug yourself, it's insignificant enough that if you used it in solo queue, you really wouldn't ever get in trouble, as it would be hard to tell that you were intentionally doing this for an advantage. Some bugs are definitely extreme, and you can tell right away that, yeah, that shouldn't be happening. But others require more awareness that something is actually wrong. For a good example, a pro player got in trouble a while back for using a champion and rune combination that was actually forbidden because it was bugged. Though the combination was of course still usable in solo queue if you were aware about it. This was the bug in January of 2023, where if Ryze had the rune Water Walking and stepped in and out of the river, he would recover an insane amount of mana. And on January 22nd, the player Perks picked Ryze and the rune. However, after realizing his error, he didn't take advantage of the bug in the game. And despite that fact, his team was still fined. Also, while we're on the topic of professional players, a couple years back, the LPL player Leyen was fined 3 months of his salary for abusing a bug in solo queue. To be fair, this was definitely outright cheating. But earlier this year, he would go on to be fined again, this time for something outside of the game. Reportedly, he was fined the equivalent of $7,000 for making inappropriate gestures on a live stream. Specifically, while live streaming with another girl, for one reason or another, he proceeded to make love to the massive stuffed animal behind him. In his defense, he apparently said he was just dancing. This little incident resulted in the $7,000 fine plus a 2-match suspension. I have a feeling he won't be dancing with Lotso from Toy Story 3 ever again.
That was definitely not dancing. You know,